To our traders in the floor show. Gentlemen, a lot of moving parts at the moment. We do need to also address the Huawei situation because as we watch these markets, you do have word that that Huawei chief financial officer, Meng Wanzhou, is going to be charged with criminal behavior when it comes to trying to do an end run around the Iran sanctions to do business with Iran. But all of this tends to play into energy stocks, do they not, Phil? And what do you think is really sort of affecting the broader markets as they bring down those energy names?
I think it's a general concern about a slowdown right now, and whether it be Caterpillar, the concerns about Huawei right now, fears about slowing demand, it's all playing into it. The Venezuelan situation is very interesting because last week traders were absolutely convinced that the Trump administration was going to pull off the nuclear option, put sanctions on that Iranian oil. But I think he did get the Trump administration probably got a few phone calls from some of the refiners on the Gulf Coast that really depend on that Venezuelan crude, and they probably said, hey, I don't want to mess with these guys right now. But there is no doubt that the mood that we're seeing in the oil markets reflective of the fear that we're seeing in the overall market, which could all go away if we get good news out of the Fed this week, if we get good news, of course, out of the China trade talks.
Let me get to Scott Redler. Okay, oil right now, as I said, now it's down below $52 a barrel. It's continuing to fall. We're at 51.98 at the moment. I do want to mention the Dow is now down 270. Scott Redler, we are awaiting a news conference with Sarah Sanders, the press secretary, and Charles had just reported that it is widely expected that Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin will use the opportunity to announce sanctions on Venezuela. What does that do to our markets at the moment?
Well, we're all watching crude because crude has been a barometer for economic activity. And, earlier in December, where oil, I think, was at 42 or less than 45, everyone was saying we're going to have a recession. Now, when it's above 50, it's out of the danger zone. So I still think around 51, 52, oil is not a problem for the overall equity market or rally. But nobody wants to get caught in a retracement that's bigger than a shallow pull-in. So I think traders are watching to see if oil could hold above 50. So psychologically, it stays there and then can make another move. But if it starts falling under 50 again, you're going to start hearing all the talk again about mid-40s and then problems in the energy names, and that won't be great for the equity markets.
Okay, we're down 264 for the Dow at the moment. Scott Bauer, we also have great tech names reporting all this week. Apple, of course, Amazon. We'll be talking about tech overall coming up, but it really doesn't look that bad when you look at what those companies in the S&P that have reported have done. Double-digit percentages have beat earnings.
No, and I think what you have to look, the key is, Liz, what sort of forward guidance are they going to come out with? I think the revenues top line are going to be good. I think bottom line are going to be pretty decent. What are they going to say moving forward? You look at an Amazon, you look at an Alphabet. I really like those. I think if there's any further pullback on earnings here, I think you have to get in names like those. A name like Facebook, that's a little bit riskier to me because Facebook is fundamentally different in that it can't keep itself out of the headlines. So you always have that headline risk there. But some of the bellwethers, like you just said, the Amazons, the Googles, I think you really have to take a long, hard look to the upside in those.
Okay. And by the way, it's been a very good start to the stock market this January. And I'm not just talking about the U.S. Brazil has had some very good numbers, not to mention some of the European names. So let's not all be negative here. Sometimes we like to kind of talk about the bad. Yeah, exactly. Scott, Phil, and Scott, thank you both, all three of you, so much. We appreciate it.